You know, we saw his comments, and he's right in a lot of what he says. It's a terrible time to try and land a major side deal. There's a global pandemic, probably a global recession, but this fight is the biggest fight in boxing. One of the biggest fights ever in boxing. This is the sporting event of 2021. So, of course, there's significant interest. Now, is that interest at the level of it would have been a year and a half ago, before the global pandemic? Probably not. But still a huge amount of money on the table. And we're out there working away. You know, I don't see the other guys. You know, I saw Frank Warren's interview on TalkSport. Great interview. Are you doing anything? Or is it just me going all around the world, knocking my cods out? I mean, that's the basis of this story. All I hear is people saying, it can't be done. It can't be done. Well, guess what? I'm trying to get it done. So let me do my work. You will have options on the table within the time frame of the original signed contract. Then it's over to you. I can't make Tyson Fury get in a ring and take this fight, or John Fury, you know, agree to this fight. But this is going to be, by far and away, the biggest financial fight for both guys by a country mile.
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn as he responds to John Fury. I was waiting for the response, actually. And Eddie Hearn's absolutely right. And it's exactly what I was saying before I even seen the interview. Before I saw the interview, I was saying, okay, well, you have Eddie Hearn doing this, doing that. Then you have Bob Arum and Frank Warren, and they're just kind of sitting on the sidelines, kind of speculating, but they are supposed to do the same job that Eddie Hearn does. They're just on the other side. And it would make more sense if they would get together, come together to make the fight happen versus, oh, well, there's no money. This is the worst time. This, you know, this can't be done, this, that, and the other. And a lot of times, you know, I think John Fury is a guy that he has some type of doubt. I know he's a negative Nancy. I know that. But at the end of the day, we've heard John Fury say a lot of things in regards to Tyson Fury about not getting into the ring. Okay, and it ain't been with Anthony Joshua. It's been with Wilder. Remember, he didn't want his son Tyson Fury to get in there with Wilder. But I can imagine that it has to be frustrating for one person to be doing something that three people supposed to be doing. Like, if you look at promoters and their jobs and their responsibilities, you would think that, okay, we're trying to make this fight happen. We're trying to get this come together. Okay, Eddie Hearn, he's doing this, so let us do that. Let us do this and help him help us. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a very, he makes a very good point. Now, regarding the pandemic, hey, this is the worst fight or the worst time to have a fight. Okay, well, you can't say it's the worst time to have a fight because of the pandemic and then say this is the only time that we'll probably ever have two British heavyweight champions to have all the belts at the same time. You see how one contradicts the other. Like, okay, well, you know it's a bad time. Or let's say this. You know it's not the best time. You know it's not the ideal time. You know that. Okay, you know this. But then again, you have to understand what's at stake. Okay, it's good for boxing, it's good for Britain, and it's good for the progression of the sport overall, because we have in one country all the belts, all the major belts. I don't mean the crackerjack belts and all the made up belts. I'm talking about the belts. Okay, we have them all, the main ones. And you're looking at a fight that people are looking and comparing it to other years. You shouldn't do that. As you guys know, what I've been saying since last year, we have to take what we can get. Okay? You can't stop business because you're trying to compare the business sales to last or a year, like in 2019. You can't do that, because if you do that, you're only going to feel depressed. Okay? You're setting yourself up for failure. Why? Because you know there's no way in Hades you can compare the progression of 2019 compared to what's going on now. We know what's going on. We have to accept it and move on. Okay? So it's either they have the fight Understand the time frame we're in. Get with the time. Roll with everything else like all the other sports. And make the fight happen. Stop thinking about the money that you could have had in the time that don't exist no more. We don't know when it's going to come back. I've been telling people this shit's going to happen for at least 5 years. That's my projection. That's just my personal projection. It's going to be 5 years before people, maybe they roll out the vaccine and all that to make people feel safe to come out in public, this, that, and the other. Or enough people get it to the point, hey, we all won't die, whatever, right? But it's going to be a minute before we get back to those type of numbers, those type of outings, those type of functions. And you cannot wait for two fighters that want to stay active to get back to where things were due to where the world's in. It's impossible. You will never get back to that point, and it will never happen. Why? Because it wasn't meant to happen. And like I've been telling you guys, boxing is 2 years behind. We need to catch up. It don't matter what time we're in. Right? At least as long as we're still around and we're still trying to make things happen. We see fights all the time. We see fights in the bubble. We see this, we see that. And adding this, to not see Tyson Fury fight in a limited crowd or a bubble, it shows a lot about the people that handle Tyson Fury. If you think about it. Because Tyson Fury is a guy, that's supposed to be versatile. If you're going to come to somebody's backyard and fight them, you could come anywhere and adapt to any type of situation to fight. And it shows you that you weren't willing to do that, or your handlers weren't willing to do that. That shows a lot about them. Because it shows that they're worried about money and sales over the progression of that fighter. They are partially responsible for Tyson Fury not fighting. Oh, we don't have the money. We don't have this. Okay, fine. How can you tell me you don't have the money for a Tyson Fury Caballero fight, but you had money for a Lomachenko Lopez? And that was fought in the bubble, mind you, a huge fight. It meant a lot for boxing. So if we took the blueprint of Tyson Fury not fighting anybody to everybody, nobody would be fighting. Okay, so I tell you guys, back to Eddie Hearn, let the man do his job like he has laid out a few things. Now, Tyson Fury is a believer, but as far as John Fury, hey, John Fury should just chill and see what time it is. And I think John Fury should, since he's saying all this negative shit, then come forth with some positivity. I would like to see that. I would like to see, well, it looks like the lad got it done. Hey, foul play to him, right? At least we can see that so he can take a back seat, take several seats, right? When it comes to negotiations and other people doing things that he knows nothing about. Okay, so with Eddie Hearn, I think they should help this man get these fights done. But I'm going to leave you guys with this. If there is any kind of resistance, again, Eddie Hearn said it best. I can't make Tyson Fury get in the ring. So they can only offer him what they have available. If it's not good enough for him, that shows ain't nothing going to be good enough for him. So you might as well cancel Christmas. Let that WBC bout fight the mandatory. Tyson Fury can do that. If he can't do that, strip him. Counterpunch. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn responding to John Fury. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.